Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. We have a box to unbox. I dragged this out from my storeroom. I have to go through a lot of stuff, as most of you know. There's all sorts of weird stuff in my sheds. This box, I remember where it came from. I packed this box quickly out of an old storage shed at my old shop next door. There's a lot of bottles and bits and pieces. I think mainly bottles, but there was a box in the shed that was underneath stuff that I hadn't seen for near 20 years, and the bottom of the box had rotted away, and as we were cleaning out in a hurry, I didn't have time to go through it, so we just sort of lifted the box up and everything stayed on the ground, and we just sort of scooped it up and chucked it as best you can chuck an antique bottle. We chucked it into this box, and they're all dirty. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Nothing enormously valuable, but you might be amazed with what sort of value I can get out of this. So if you like old bottles, if you like antique stuff, if you like fossicking, if you like rummaging through boxes where there's probably spiders, come along and let's see what we can find in here. Okay, there's a lot in here, as you can see. Now, they're not wrapped, they've just got scooped up from the floor of a shed. They're bottles that I've either found myself or they've come from other people's sheds over the years, and I've never got back to washing them up or sorting them out. So we'll go through these and try and work out what sort of value we've got in this box. So you saw the size of the box, and it's only about half full. I reckon we're going to get a few $100s worth of bottles out here, and I don't think there's anything particularly valuable. But what I'm going to do is I'll go through it, we'll sort them all out into groups because there's some that are obviously the same. And I'll give you a bit of a history about them. Some of you may know I've been a bottle collector most of my life, and I have done a lot of research on bottles over the years. I've also got some videos on my channel that I did a couple of years ago on dating bottles and the different types and all that sort of stuff. So I'll link that playlist underneath actually. But in this box, we've got a lot of random small bottles. Now, as I said, I don't think there's any outright screamers in here, but there's some pretty interesting stuff. Looks like there's varying ages because that one's a screw top. There's little essence bottles and perfumes and medicines and inks. So we'll go through it. I'll set up the camera. We'll go through it, have a bit of a chat about any that are worth talking about, make up some groups, and I'll give you some prices of what I sell this stuff for, and if there's any indeed that I think are worthy to send to auction, and we'll just see what this small, well, half full box of bottles actually works out to be as far as retail value goes for me, because I can sell them in the shop. And what do you reckon? Place your bets. I'm thinking maybe a couple of $100, but I'm notoriously an underestimator. So it's going to work on volume. We'll see how we go. Volume is indeed the secret of dealing, really. And we've got a lot of bottles in this box. Now, in the interests of protecting Christine's counter and protecting my neck, I have put some heavy paper down here just so that we don't get dirt everywhere. No, Christine's really a nice girl. She wouldn't do anything to harm me. Now, we have a eucalyptus oil. I'm not going to spend long on each bottle, but any that you're likely to come across or you might find information useful, I will talk about. J. Basisto Richmond eucalyptus oil, very classic eucalyptus oil shape. They come with lots of brands. They also come unbranded. They come in different eras. This is a rolled blobby type top, and the seam doesn't go through to the top, so it's early 1900s. There's no mark underneath. But have a look at my earlier videos on dating bottles, because I'm not going to point out all the reasons why I know it's a certain age in this one. But J. Basisto was one of the most common by far eucalyptus oil bottles. Most diggers have dug hundreds and hundreds of them. And in fact, I think you can still buy Basisto's eucalyptus oil today. Obviously, it's in a newer bottle, but that one's probably going to be about a $5 bottle. It's got some opalescence on it from being buried in the soil, and you can't really get that off other than having the bottle polished. And it's certainly not worth polishing a common bottle like this. But it is quite a nice effect, and a lot of people actually like that, so it just needs a wash up. There's just a plain essence. I'm not going to go into any real detail on a lot of these ones. A lot of these will probably just be in a $1 a pick. It's an early bottle. It's an applied top, so it's early 1900s. It's a genuine antique, but it hasn't got any endearing features, so I'll have a big box full of $1 bottles. Okay, this one is probably an essence as well. There's nothing outstanding about that. It's early 1900s. Look, some of these aren't worth the while to wash up. I could wash it and maybe try for $5, but I don't think it's got enough appeal to get 5, so I might just leave some of these dirty and just ask $1. I'm not going to wash things just to make $1. This one's quite an old one as well, and it looks like it's a dark amber. We probably can't see here, but I think it's a really dark amber. Bit unusual. I reckon I'd get 5 for that. Early 1900s again. I don't know what would have been in that one. It's a bit hard to tell. Really crude lip. Now, if we get a focus, see how crude that lip is? That's the first thing to look at when you're dating bottles, is how the lip is applied. That's got quite character, that one. Okay, have you been paying attention? Correct, a eucalyptus oil. This one is a different brand. It's HS Cope Maryborough. Fairly common, but not as common as the Basistos. That one has a nice amethyst tinge to it, and there's a chance that will go a darker purple if it's left in the sun. I will do a video about why bottles turn purple at some stage. Probably I might get 10 for that if it cleans up nicely, because the purple bottles, they look a little bit nicer than the aqua ones. Now, we've got quite a lot of these in the box. These are known as a cabin ink. They were an ink bottle. A groove on each side so you can rest your quill. They aren't a broken bottle. It's jagged around the top because that's how it was made. It's actually called a shear top. So I believe it was drawn off and snapped off, and they just had a cork in them. So some of them are more chippy than others. This one's not too bad. Some of them actually are quite jagged. This one is actually, I think it says Angus underneath. It doesn't, no, it says, can't quite read it. There's a number of different companies that made these. W. Thomas, I think, Angus, of course, quite a few others. It doesn't make any real difference to the value. This is a really nice colour. It's almost an ice blue. It's kind of an aqua, but it's verging on blue. Now, what are these worth? You see them sometimes on eBay for up to $20 and then $10 postage. Makes them pretty expensive, but occasionally people buy them. It's an interesting example, this, in that most seasoned bottle collectors will dig hundreds of them, and if you ask them what these are worth, they'll say, oh, $1, if that. We often throw them back in the hole. Whereas, I put it in the shop here, I'm not aiming to sell it to a bottle collector, or at least not an experienced bottle collector, but a beginner may buy it, or someone that just wants, not interested in bottles other than the history, and they might just like to have decorative things on their windowsill at home. They might gladly pay $10 or $15. It's a genuine antique. These are early 1900s. These in good condition, I put $10 on them in the shop, and they do sell. They don't sell quickly, but they do sell. The better colours sell better. You can have them ranging from a green right through to almost a blue. Sometimes they're more of a clear. But they are common, but they do sell quite well. So I've got a lot of those. I'll make a pile when I get to it. Now, here's a not to be taken poisons bottle. It's a kind of a coffin shape, very, very common in amber. This one's a later one, probably 1940s, because of the cork top. It's not an applied top, it's a machine-made bottle. Struggle to get 5, but cleaned up in a row of different sizes. They do look really good, so we might give it a quick wash and ask 5. Again, a seasoned bottle collector would not buy it at all, even for $1. Lots more essence. I'm not going to pull all these out separately. Some have a purple tinge, which generally dates them pre-1920, but there are exceptions to that rule. That's probably early 1900s. So I might line all these up and we'll have a bit of a scan. But if these clean up nicely and are not damaged, I'd possibly get $5 each for these. Again, not to a bottle collector, but to someone that just likes cute little bottles. All right, I'll pull a few more out before I make a bit of a go at it and then bring you back here. What do we got here? Eucalyptus, did you say? Well done, guys, you're learning. That one is a Basisto, very common, and that's another HS Cope. So the amethyst ones I think will sell more easily, but I think they'll wash those up. Now here's another very common ink that people find. They're known as a penny ink. It's stoneware or pottery. Generally there's no brands on them. I believe there are some scarce ones with a stamp, but you can safely assume that if you're digging up these, it's 1800s era. Usually you don't find these after 1900, so I like to say they're sort of 1880s, 1890s. They made them in the absolute billions, so there's plenty of them around. Well, maybe not billions, let's go millions. But they do sell okay. Again, they're cute, they look nice, they look good on an old school desk, being an inkwell. I get $5 for them, no problems. I could probably ask 10 if there's no damage at all, and if it's a nice glaze. Okay guys, I've almost finished unboxing without you, please forgive me, but it was going to be a bit tedious. I pulled out all the small stuff. There's a couple of bigger ones in the box we'll have a look at in a tick. You can see all the inks here, there's various sorts. This is a Swan ink, which is much more recent. Oh no, that's an Angus. I think this one's a Swan. So it's 4 ounce. That's probably 1950s, so much more recent than some of the others. These ones are more recent too. Generally, the more modern glass becomes clear. They still all sell, but they might range from $3 up to $5, maybe up to 10 for the real good ones, as I've mentioned. These couple are quite cute. They're little perfumes. I've only got the top for one. I'm not sure how old they are. They're a screw top, but they're obviously supposed to go in a little stand. So I would probably think they're maybe 1940s or 50s. So they're kind of cute. I might just wash them and make them, maybe $10 the pair if they clean up okay. And we have a whole lot of bottles here that I probably won't wash up, although there are a couple with embossing on them. And when you're looking at bottles, you really want to see names and things on them. That one will be a perfume. I think it says Paris. So that might hold a bit better value than some of the others. The other thing I'll look at is I'm not going to wash up ones that are really cloudy and the glass isn't in very good condition. As far as resale goes, it's just a little harder to sell something that looks kind of sandblasted. So if there's no embossing on it, and it doesn't have a particularly nice colour, and it's a bit down on condition, I'm not going to wash it. They can be just $1. We didn't find any more eucalyptus oils. There's 4 of those. A couple of other oddballs here. This little one's interesting. These were a glue. I think it says Marshall's Giant Cement. It's very, very opalized. It's been in some probably very acidic soil, but it's very cute. It's a sheer top again. So we'll certainly get at least 5 for that, I would think. These ones here are a pill bottle. I think they're Doan's pills from memory. It does say something on the base. Kind of cute. Yeah, pretty early. They'd be early 1900s. Just some other ones here, more pills. These ones are very common. They're Morse's, I'll get a focus on here. Morse's Indian root pills. I'm not sure what they did for you, but if you Google that, they were obviously a pretty big company. They sold a lot of them, and I think you can get signs too which say that. So very common. I'll probably get $5 each for those all the same. These other ones don't have any embossing, and that one's a more recent perfume. Some larger ones here. Clement's Tonic is very common. That's quite an early bottle, and it's worth washing up. I think I'd probably get 5 to 10 for that. It'd be early 1900s. There's some more of those coffin-shaped poisons. The green one's by far the nicest, and it has quite an old top on it too. You'll see some of the others. That one actually has a screw top, so does that one. But they make a nice little collection. But certainly the green one I'd probably get 10 for if it cleaned up nicely. The others would be less, or sell them as a group. These 2 diamond-shaped ones are actually a phenol, which was a disinfectant. And you get lots of different brands of these. That's Vickery's. They're generally early 1900s. That symbol there is around about World War I era. But they also come in a more modern top. They come with this kind of top. Can you see that one? Which are probably more 1940s. So they're not overly valuable, but they might get $5 to $10 each if they clean up well. There are some rarer brands of the phenols, and some collectors specialise in that sort of thing. Most bottle diggers bring home all sorts of stuff. There's some very old cutlery here, which isn't worth anything other than probably go in my scrap brass bin. Although this one, let's check with a magnet. Yep, that's stainless steel, so that can't go in the scrap brass. The rest of them I think will. Oh no, that one's stainless as well. So yeah, they'll be all EPNS, which can go in the brass. There's a little cream bottle here, probably more 1960s. I think it says 1 pint or half pint. So it's early 70s at the latest. But I'll probably still get $5 for that. It's worth washing up. And we have the lid off a stoneware crock, and it's a bit chipped, but I'll hang on to that because sometimes I get the crocks that need a lid. Okay, let's finish up this video. Really just a bit of a random chat about bottles, but someone did ask me the other day, when am I going to unbox some bottles? So I found this box, I thought I'd better do it. This one is the property of Jonathan Reeve, manufacturer's Ballarat. It would have been probably a pickles or a chutney. It's got quite a wide top on it, and it's not very old. It's probably 1940s. Can't see any marks on the base. I might say AGM in a straight line, so perhaps late 20s into the early 30s. But it's a nice looking bottle. They could probably sell as a vase. I think that's well and truly worth washing up. Quite kind of Art Deco, which fits the era of that. It's probably early 30s. We have a pickles in here. Again, like the eucalyptus oils, the pickles are a very uniform shape. They're all the same, basically. So this one is, again, Jonathan Reeves, which is Ballarat. It's probably a 1920s pickles. That would clean up quite well. We'd probably get, it's not a rare one, we'd probably get $10 to $15 for that one washed up. And the other one I didn't mention, we'll probably get about the same dollars on that. This one looks like another mid-century, maybe 1930s pickles or chutney or something along those lines. You can usually tell because they've got a wider top. It could be a pickles, that one. Slightly different shape than the other pickles. I think there's a brand on it somewhere. What do we say here? Davis and Sons Melbourne. So yeah, we'll probably get $10 or so for that one as well. Worth washing up. And the last one, oh, there's the top for our little perfume. Excellent. And the last bottle in here, I actually don't think we might pass $200. I think we might not quite make that. There's nothing really good in here at all. However, a lot of saleable stuff, even if it's not valuable. Boone's Bar, a big Melbourne company, soft drinks. This one's a Crown Seal, clear glass, definitely a machine-made bottle. What marks have we got on the base? It's a bit hard to make it out, but I would say that's probably 1960s or 50s, perhaps 1950s. Not in very good condition, quite poorly embossed. And you'll see it's quite rough. Looks like it's a horseshoe trademark. And it's quite rough across the high spots of the embossing, which generally is referred to as crate rash amongst bottle collectors. You can imagine if they're in a crate and they're rattling together, it wears the high spots. So yeah, not in very good condition. I don't think that bottle would be worth any more than $5, and we might even struggle to get that for it. That might even go in the $1 box. So there we go. I'm not sure what that's going to add up to. What I'm going to do is I'll wash them up. I'll perhaps reappraise, or I'll wash them up and I'll price them all, and I won't subject you guys to watching all that. And I'll write a bit of a list of anything that's perhaps worth better than $5, and we'll see what it adds up to. I may have overestimated. There we go. No one will ever know I was here. Back at Christine's counter today, and everything is spick and span and nice and clean. I've washed up a lot of these bottles. I did leave a lot of the little ones unwashed, as I explained earlier. How do you reckon the price worked out? Well, there wasn't anything good, I can tell you that, but the old secret of lots of quantity equals pretty good returns is going to play out here. Let's go through them quickly. I won't show the individual prices, but I didn't price anything. There's nothing out here that's less than $5. A lot of stuff actually is $5. And I've explained, I think, before in my shop, I don't like selling things for $2 or $3. If there's going to be bookwork involved, I like to make at least $5. So they're the little inks. They're more 1940s, those ones. The Swan ink I probably would have normally priced a bit higher than $5, but it does have a fracture and a little bit of a ding there to the shoulder. But it's still a nice example of an ink. Everything washed up pretty well, actually. The 3 pickles there, 3 different pickles. I've put 15 each on those. They were probably the best bottles in the whole lot. All the poisons washed up quite well. The Clement's Tonic is a really nice example, actually. I put 10 on that one, but it's undamaged. It's a really common bottle, but that's a really good example. I think we'll get 10 for that. The poisons, I've priced them individually, but they do make a nice collection, all grouped together, all the different sizes. $15 on the green poison, because they are much harder to get, and that's a pretty good example. It probably would clean up a bit better than that. The eucalyptus, we're in good nick. I put, I think, $10 on the amethyst ones, and $5 on the other ones, because the Basisto ones are more common anyway. And here's some, as I was mentioning earlier, some opalescence from being in acidic soil, and you won't wash that off. I'll do a video at some stage on how to clean bottles, but you can't really get rid of that other than having them polished. The penny inks, the stoneware ones, I put 5 each on these ones because they all have a little bit of chipping. It's pretty common with these inks. They usually roll around and get knocked and chipped. They're fairly crude anyway. But these 3 were actually in really good condition, no chips at all. So I did put $10 each on those. The little perfumes, they're 10 the pair. Pretty well as I explained. These were the only 2 of these Essence ones that I actually washed up because they were in really good condition, and they've got a nice faint amethyst tinge to them. I put $5 each on those. The Doan's Pills ones, I just put $5 the pair. So there we go, that's what it worked out at. I didn't put 10 on the cabin inks, I went back to 5 because they've all got issues of some sort, little chippy or a bit of a fracture here and there. Really nice colour on that one. But I just went for $5 each on those. And the rest of them in this little box here, as you saw them, they're all, you know, full of dirt and unwashed. I'm going to put just $1 a pick out of those. There's actually about 30 bottles there, but you know, let's say we'll sell half of them, so there's another $15. So what did the list add up to? How did you go with your guess? Did you agree with me? Did you think I was ambitious? Did you think I was too light on? Well, $305. I actually forgot to add those purple essence in. $305 there. If we add 15 for the $1 ones, that's about $320 out of half a box of common bottles. Now, as I've explained earlier, I'm not going to get any experienced bottle collector very excited here, but they make don't they make a great display? We've got all sorts of colours and shapes. There's a lot of people that appreciate history without worrying about whether the bottle is rare or not. I'm sure we'll have no trouble selling these just for, you know, as decorator items, if nothing else. I have sold a lot of these pickles before, and same with milk bottles, for people who just want to use them as vases. Sometimes they're decorating tables at a wedding and they want something a bit quirky. But that's a really nice little collection, I reckon. $300, thereabouts, $320. I'm pretty happy with that. So thanks for watching another unboxing, guys. It was one with a bit of a difference here. I haven't done any antique bottle videos for a long time, and I'll do some more if you want me to. I will find more random boxes of bottles in amongst my shed lots. If you would like to see me unpack them, leave a note under this video, because if no one says it, well, I'll think next time, oh, no one wants to see them, and I'll do something else. But bottles have a real character. I've always liked them. As I mentioned earlier, I've done a bit of a short playlist on identifying them and dating them and a few other things. If you'd like to see more of that, I'll try and do a bit more research and perhaps explain a little bit more about bottles. And I did forget to mention, in case you're wondering, these Poisons bottles, you always notice they have ribbing or stars or something like that on them. That's because back in the day, if people went to get say some cough medicine or something during the night and they reached up into the cupboard, remember they didn't have electric lighting, this at least warns them that it's a poison and you shouldn't just go, oh, this will fix my cough. Maybe you'd need a coffin after that. So that's the reason why they have stars on them, and some of them have panels, and of course they have not to be taken, but you can't always read that by dim candlelight. So that's the reason for that. So if you'd like to find out a bit more about bottles, I will do some more of those videos down the track. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.